Hey everybody, I'm your host Chris Bissett, and on today's episode of Food Nerd, we're answering viewer mail questions sent in by you guys. So, sit back, strap in, it's time to get our nerd on. Welcome to Food Nerd.
Ready, aim, fire.
Alright, I've spent the last few weeks asking you guys, the viewers, to send in your questions that you wanted me to answer. So what I'm going to do on this episode is we're going to go through some of those questions and dive into this mailbag. We're going to start off here with the first question, right here. Jackie from Iowa writes, what is the difference between a stock and a broth? A stock is made from the bones of whatever animal that the stock is going to make. Whereas the broth is actually made from stewing or boiling the meat of that animal. Now, they say that the stock, and I feel the same way, is a much heartier and much more flavorful type of liquid. The reason being is because it's actually, when you boil the bones of whatever the animal is, like a chicken or a fish, it actually releases the gelatins that are inside those bones. I know that sounds really, really weird, but like, gelatin is naturally in your bones. So like, if anytime you guys eat like gummy bears or any sort of gummy flavored fruit snacks or anything like that, those are actually made from the bones of animals. I know it sounds weird, but you know, it's a thickening thing, and that's naturally in our bones. So that's the difference between the stock and the broth. One's made from bones, the other one's made from meat. Again, great question. Thank you for asking, Jackie. Alright, for our first recipe today, we're going to take one of your guys' questions and we're going to make the food out of it. So here we go. Rachel from Texas writes, help! How come I can't make French toast right? I butter the pan and still a huge mess. Alright Rachel, let's make some French toast. Alright, we're going to start up by slicing up some bread about 1 inch thick per slice. Then to a shallow dish, we're going to add 2 eggs, 1 egg per slice of bread. And then 1 cup of milk, half tablespoon of vanilla, half teaspoon nutmeg, half teaspoon clove, 1 tablespoon cinnamon, and a pinch of salt. Hit it with a little bit of powdered sugar. Then we're going to put some strawberries on top and a little bit of lemon juice. Alright, let's get another question. Shane from Indiana writes, I have a bunch of Red Hots candies, and I was wondering if I could use this in any main course type dishes. You are the best, and I look up to you in every way. Hey Shane, thanks man, I'm flattered. I'm a big fan of me too. When you first asked this question, I immediately went to Asian cuisine. Chinese food, I absolutely love to cook. So the Chinese culture uses a lot of 5-spice. What that is it's cinnamon, clove, ground fennel, star of anise, and Szechuan peppercorns. Now, what I would do is actually use the Red Hots because they're made from cinnamon, and I would boil those down in like some water and get kind of a glaze going. I'd add the other spices in as well, Then I would take some like Korean short ribs and I'd put those on a grill and get them nice and browned and toasty and a little salt and pepper, just get them cooked up. And then what I would do is I would glaze it as it's almost done and just make it like ooey and gooey and candy-like, and man, that would be awesome. That's what I would do with the Red Hots. You know what? Try it. If you do, send me a picture of it. I would love to see how it turns out. Flash in the pan! For today's Flash in the Pan, we are answering one of your guys' top 5 questions. Joy from Texas writes, what are your top 5 bucket list restaurants? Alright, first up we got Franklin Barbecue. This is in Austin, Texas, and of course it's a barbecue joint. It was started by Aaron Franklin, and they are known to be some of the best barbecue in the United States. It's won all sorts of awards. Next up we've got Herbivorous Butcher. Believe it or not, it's a meat-free butcher shop. It's all vegan shop, started by a brother and sister. They do online orders. I want to go. I want to try it. They have vegan meats. They got vegan cheeses. It just sounds awesome. Next up, we've got Salvation Burger. This joint is in New York. It's a trendy spot. Started by April Bloomfield and Ken Friedman. And I've heard they have some of the most amazing burgers ever. I really want to check this place out. Looks delicious. They win all sorts of awards. Alright, next up we've got Pasquale Jones. Another place in New York. I really want to go check this place out. From their pizzas to their wood-fired everything. It's an amazing little spot, and it's frequented by some A-list celebrities, so I definitely want to check this place out. And then last but not least, we got a Thai. These are the Crown Salt stuff by Chuck Hughes. That's Garde Manger and Le Bremner. Garde Manger it's up in Quebec, and it is a place that if I was to open up a restaurant, this is what I want it to be. Really, really trendy spot. Same with Le Bremner. Le Bremner focuses more on seafood, but both of them are run the same. Cool, hip places with some amazing food. I definitely want to check these out. So I'd love to hear from you guys to see what sort of spots you guys would be interested in checking out, someday before you, kick the old food bucket. So leave me a comment, and love to hear from you. Flash in the pan! Alright, for our next recipe, we're going to dive back into the viewer mailbag and answer another one of your guys' questions. Here we go. Chelsea from Mississippi writes, I'm in the mood for some Food Nerd shrimp and grits. You know what, Chelsea? I'm in the mood for some shrimp and grits too. Let's do this. Alright, first off, we're going to get a little bit of olive oil heating in a pan. Then we're going to slice up some sausage. And then we'll put that into the pan to brown it up a little. Then we're going to add half teaspoon cumin, half tablespoon paprika, half teaspoon chili powder, pinch of cayenne, half tablespoon onion powder, and then 1 tablespoon of garlic. Then we're going to deglaze the pan with 1/4 cup clam juice. And then we'll add 1 can of diced tomatoes, and then we're going to let that sit. Then to 4 cups of salted boiling water, we're going to add 1 cup of quick grits, because why buy the long, the stuff that takes forever to cook. Then once that's all boiled up, we're going to add 3 tablespoons of butter, and then 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. Now we're going to add our shrimp into the mix that we made earlier, and then we're going to let those cook. Then we're going to stir in 2 tablespoons of sour cream. And there you have it, folks. Food Nerds Portuguese style shrimp and grits. Alright, let's go ahead and get to your guys' next question. Let's get a fun one here. Zane from California writes, do you have any Star Trek The Next Generation recipes? This is something I've actually been looking into for a long time. Something that I have found out through all my studies of Star Trek and Star Trek history is there's one dish that kind of makes its way through all of the iterations of Star Trek. That's called plomeek soup. What it is it's a vegetarian Vulcan dish that was eaten not only by the Vulcans, but then started being eaten by the crew. Now, what plomeek is it's a root vegetable that was also used for teas as well as the soup. Now, I checked my local grocery store and they were fresh out of plomeeks, as well as my Galaxy, because they didn't have them either. So I looked into something that I was like, what could I make that would also be like a root vegetable, but also could make teas, and then I could also make a soup out of? And my mind clicked. Ginger root. You can make teas out of it. You can make soups out of it. It's perfect. So, me being the food nerd, I don't like anything bland, and this soup is very, very bland, according to Star Trek lore. So, I put it into hyperdrive, and I came up with this great recipe. Check it out. Alright, we're coming down to the end of the show, but we have time for one more question. Let's get to it. Bill from Illinois writes, do you have any ideas about achieving a middle ground ramen? Something cheaper than going to a shop, better than instant, and easier than huge amounts of broth slowly simmering with pork belly and authentic flavors? Would something like boiled or crock pot stewed bacon to get the broth close? Alright, Bill, thank you for that great question. Surprisingly enough, I'm going to have a whole episode coming up here soon devoted to ramen, because I absolutely love that stuff. So make sure that you check it out when it comes out, and the best way to do that is to like and subscribe. If you guys have not subscribed to this channel, please make sure that you guys hit the big red button over there on the side. If you like this episode, hit the thumbs up button. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at IamFoodNerd. You can also follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/IamFoodNerd. And then, of course, you can follow me here on YouTube at youtube.com/FoodNerd. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Until next time, I'm your host, Chris Bissett. Stay nerdy, people.
Ready, aim, fire.
And we killed a cockroach.
Oh.
Welcome to my kitchen, people. We got cockroaches.